What's up guys? Welcome to the video. Today we are going to try and recreate the rocket upside down on the moon. So I'm just here starting a new sandbox and calling it loosely explain. This is the image I'm going to try and recreate. So follow me along for the journey. First of all, of course, we have to pick out a flag. So here we go. We're just choosing this one. Let's get going. I didn't really have a plan for this. I just kind of went ahead and designed a rocket as we went. So I kind of sped up the images here. Yeah, the idea is stable Kerbal orbit, lunar injection, you know, the thing. Then we will try and land on the moon and go back. So here we go. This is also sped up a bit. Yeah, just see I'm just building a rocket as I go. And of course, we need some landing legs upside down because, you know, we're going to land upside down. I'm just messing about a little bit, kind of exploring the options as we go. So I figured, you know, some engines upside down might be a good idea to help slow down the rocket. Put some heat shields on there as well for the re-entry. And yeah, just basically build the launching stage and the lunar injection stage. I didn't really plan anything out like delta V wise, and as you will see, the thrust to weight ratio also was a little bit off, which is weird because in the builder overview it said it had like a thrust to weight ratio of like 4, so I didn't quite understand why it fell down, and then the next stage also didn't launch, so I was just kind of experimenting here, seeing like, okay, which stages do have a good thrust to weight ratio. And I figured, well, we're here, let's just go ahead and see if we can land this thing upside down on Kerbin. Of course, a lot more challenging, more gravity, but you know, let's test it. And this is a subtle foreshadowing. The rocket lost all stability coming down, but I figured it was just because of aerodynamic drag or whatever. And I just went ahead and kind of waited for this to take off. As you can see, it's still not taking off. I did lose one engine though, so the thrust to weight ratio is even worse than before. But eventually it took off and then just crashed into the field next to the launch pad. So let's get back to the drawing table. If you're sharp, you can see the thrust to weight ratio like resetting and then going down to 0.75. So I figured, fuck it, let's just slap on more engines and we should be fine. Also checking my staging here because it seemed kind of messed up in my test launch. But yeah, I think that should be all set right now. So we're going to try again. Or at least, yeah, right now we're going to try again. Here we go. Looks a lot better. This time we're actually getting off the ground, so yeah, this is just all fine. Starting my gravity turn pretty early. I never know which is the best way to do it. Just kind of figuring out as you go, I guess. But this went fine. So you see us getting into the upper atmosphere of Kerbin. And actually some flames around the rocket, so might not have been the most efficient gravity turn, but you know, doesn't really matter. We have more than enough delta V for the project we're doing, so. Here you can just see me racing my apoapsis to be outside of the atmosphere. Which we succeed in. And then we're just time warping to make sure we get into a stable orbit. So here we are, just making our stable orbit burn. I don't know what it's called. I'm looking bad at Kerbin. Looking back at Kerbin. Our astronauts seem to be doing... Our Kerbal seem to be doing just fine. Chillin'. So now it's time to plan our lunar injection burn. Which actually we got kind of lucky because you want, for people that don't know, you want your spaceship to kind of start firing as soon as the Mun is rising on the horizon in your normal overview, which happened to kind of coincidentally be at the same place of the descending node, which is perfect since then you don't really get an inclination on your orbit when you reach the Mun. So it was just lucky, but yeah, it was nice. So here you see time warping towards the maneuver node and then also performing the burn. This is what I mean. The Mun has to be just rising above the horizon and then you can just fire it and you will get a encounter. For the newbies, that's a good tip. You can also just play around with the maneuver node until you get an encounter, but yeah, as you can see, our encounter right now is on the equator of the Mun, which is nice because it makes it easier to maneuver. And also just OCD wise, it's more satisfying. So here we are right now coming down. We're just going to do our capture burn here. There we go. Oh, now I lowered my battery abscess a little bit because we're going to have to land. So right now just stabilizing the orbit somewhat and trying to scout a landing spot. I always like to land, I know a lot of people like to land in craters and stuff because it's flat and they have a good point, but I always like to land at the spot where you can see Kerbin just poking over the horizon. So nice cinematic view here of Kerbin rising over the horizon. And then I'm just going to search for a spot to land. As you can see, there's a lot of craters, so I'm just going to try and pinpoint between a few, because if you land inside of a crater, it's more flat, but the view is better if you're on the edge. I'd like to be able to see Kerbin. So here we go, just slowing down for the landing. Now we're going to ditch our last stage and we're going to have to flip the rocket because of course we want to land upside down. That's the whole idea. Successfully flipped. But as you will see, we also experienced this during our test burn where I thought it was unrelated. But for some reason, when I fire these engines, the rocket loses all stability and starts flipping. I don't know why. I still don't know why, really. But anyway, we started flipping, no chance to slow down in time, so yeah, here we go. I mean, at least we made it, but our Kerbals didn't survive. So you can see all of our pieces of rocket just flying out back into space. Probably crash landing a few kilometers down. Yeah. So I think we're going to have to try again. Alright, second attempt. I'm going to have to figure out why the rocket keeps losing stability. So you see me just messing about a little bit. I think I tried to reduce the thrust of the three reversed engines on top, just to see like what's happening. You can see me doing this a little bit. I thought the thrust limiter would be symmetrical, so all three rockets would, all three engines would listen to it, but it only did one of the three engines, so it started flipping even worse, and we crashed again. So let's try again, and this time, you know, make sure if you change anything, you change it on all of the three rockets, or all of the three engines. I keep saying rockets, all of the three engines. And I'm not actually sure, I think I just turned off gimbal control for all engines, except the bottom one, I guess, or technically top one. And just relying on the reaction wheels to steer us. And it actually seemed to work. The rocket is stable again, only I started braking way too late and smacked into the surface again. They say third time's a charm. This is, I think, the fourth attempt already. But right now we do know how to stabilize, and we do know that we have to start braking a little bit earlier. So here we are, coming down again. This time it looks a lot better. And our speed is actually under control. I was aiming for this little ridge in between the two craters. It looked kind of flat, and I figured it would have a nice view. And actually, we're just touching down nicely. As you can see, we're on a slight hill, and the rocket kept tipping over. So I figured, okay, we'll just go a little bit downrange, try to find a flat area. And this seemed kind of flat, but the rocket still tipped over. And so this kept happening for quite some time. So you just see me flying about a little bit, trying to find an area where the rocket will actually stay upright. Yeah, still not. I mean, the view is beautiful from here, but still no success. So you see me getting a little bit annoyed and flying a little bit further out right now. Still, I mean, it looks pretty flat, but it apparently isn't. Maybe something was wrong with the landing legs, I don't know. But I figured, okay, over here it looks even better. Here we go. I kept my engines on for a little bit to make sure it's stabilized. And now we're down. So let's plant a flag. You have to always plant a flag. You haven't been there if you didn't plant a flag. So here you go, my Kerbal is upside down. Oh yeah, I wanted to rotate for some reason, I'm not sure. I thought this looked cool. But as you see, my rocket is still kind of tipping over. It's barely standing upright. It stood upright, but it's like the Tower of Pisa right now. It's leaning over. Anyway, as long as it's not falling over, we're good. I guess the landing legs are just too small for the weight it's carrying, and they're also pretty close together. Best quote: upside down, inside out. If you know, you know. Upside down. Alright, so to actually recreate the image, I figured I had to give it some gas, so let's burn into the moon a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Looks awesome. Great picture. Okay, time to head back home. So, going up from the mountain is actually pretty easy. There's low gravity, no atmosphere, no atmosphere. So you can just go up a little bit and almost immediately start burning horizontally. So you see me flipping here to go back into normal rocket mode, and actually going up a little bit just to make sure I don't hit any mountains. Wouldn't be the first time. So, I mean, we recreated it, we did it, so now it's just time to head back home. You can see, I'm not sure if this is the most efficient way I'm doing this, but you know, it's fast. I guess I could have gone around for one more orbit and wait for apoapsis to do my re-entry burn, but fuck it. I mean, this was quicker. We have a lot of delta V, and our heat shield is also very good, so we're just coming in hot, but we're going to decelerate last minute before we hit the atmosphere anyway, because we've got a lot of delta V left. So you see me decelerating here, and I tried to stage while we were burning to kind of fling the stage back into space or just out of the way. And you can see it didn't work. We're spinning uncontrollably. It just stayed connected, but eventually it did deconnect while when it ran out of fuel. So now we're oriented the right way again, coming down for re-entry, and I was expecting some fireworks from that stage, but it seemed to have just survived, I guess. Ah, there it goes. Pops and bangs in the distance. Anyway, yeah, so we're coming down into the atmosphere and preparing for landing. see us deploying our parachutes right about now. Yeah, there we go. Jettisoning our heat shield just for a little bit extra weight loss for touchdown. And then this part is just waiting. So I figured let's have some fun and go skydive. And I actually had like a little challenge for myself to hit the capsule again before we touched down. Unfortunately, I had some issues getting back up again. So you see me trying to get close to the capsule again. And then we were right when we're about to touch down. I get close, just smack the ground. That doesn't matter, just run back. We survived the impact. And that's it for the mission. Mission success. So, yeah. This is what we did. This is our flag. Nice viewing point. Looks great from here. For some reason, I wanted to see the sun come up, I guess, but time warping a little bit too quick. If you know, you know. Anyway, I would call it mission success. So, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.